Pro Engineer Wildfire 5, Schools Edition, Block 2. If you are reopening Pro Engineer Wildfire 5 after creating the first block, again you will see the PTC web browser page. Minimise this by just left clicking onto the sash again, and it collapses back into the side. And every time we start a new part, if you are restarting Pro Engineer, you will need to set the working directory. We'll do this again by going to File, Set Working Directory. My blocks folder is created on the desktop, so navigate to where you created your folder. Select blocks and say OK. Again, you are informed by the system that you've changed the working directory to the desired place. Let's start our second part by going to our new icon. Name it block _2. Say OK to it. And again you are taken to the 3D working environment showing the 3 datum planes and the coordinate system. Block 2 is another very simple part. Creating these parts not only covers basic commands, but also some very important modelling practices that if we get into the habit of using straight away from the start, will become second nature as we progress using Pro Engineer. Block 2 is a simple cube, so we were going to do an extrude, dashboard will open, placement define. This time we will draw onto the front datum plane when we're in the 2D environment. But first we will create some centre lines and place the square symmetrically around the centre lines. Come back into the 3D environment, then extrude symmetrically around the datum planes. Let's start by going to the extrude command. Dashboard opens, placement, define. Select the front datum plane this time. Again note the front datum plane has been selected, and this time the top datum plane has been used as a reference. Trust the defaults again, and just left click onto sketch. Note you are now looking directly onto the front datum plane with our top datum plane and our right datum plane in positions. So I said we want to go and create 2 centre lines, and the centre lines are going to sit directly on top of the right and the top datum planes, and then we can extrude the rectangle symmetrically around these datum planes. Centre lines are under the line command, but go to the shootout menu by the side, so left click onto the little arrow. Come and select the centre lines. Note the crosshairs on the end of the cursor. Let the cursor snap again to the vertical datum plane. Left click once, bring the cursor down and round and let it snap again. Left click again to finish the centre line. Start again to the horizontal datum plane, let it snap, left click once to start the centre line, and again bring it across and let it snap again to the horizontal position. Left click again to complete the centre line. If you go to the 1x1 or select command, select it, left click into space, the 2 centre lines will now become visible. We can now go and draw our rectangle for our square. Hover over the rectangle command, left click it, bring the cursor anywhere up here into space, left click once to start the rectangle. Notice you get horizontals and verticals straight away, and as you bring the cursor across, the intent manager tries to snap to the datum plane again. This isn't what I want this time, so as I come across, because we have a centre line there, the intent manager now gives us the option to snap symmetrically around the centre line. This is what I want, so let's bring it down, and again the intent manager snaps to the horizontal datum plane, comes straight past it, and again it snaps in the other direction. Left click again. This completes the rectangle. Let's go and show the dimensions and the other constraints by going to our 1x1 or select command, and you can see we've been given 2 grey or weak dimensions, We also have the arrows of showing symmetry, and we also have horizontals and verticals. Let's go and size the sketch by hovering over one of the dimensions, double click it, type in 50, enter. Your sketch should resize and then refit to the screen. So let's do the same in the other direction. Hover over the dimension, double click it, type in 50 and enter. And again, it should resize and refit to the screen. Left click away in space. You will now notice your two grey weak dimensions have turned into orange locked dimensions. The extrude is also still symmetric around the centre lines, showing the 4 arrows of symmetry. So we can now click onto the blue done tick to take us back into the 3D environment. Left click the blue done tick. Let's rotate the view by going to our named views list. Left click onto the drop down menu. Come back down to trimetric, and you can see the extrude taking place. You'll note the extrude is pointing in one direction, and as I said earlier, we want the extrude to go symmetrically around the datum plane. We can do this by going up into the dashboard and hovering over the extrude type. If you left click onto the browser arrow next to the extrude type, you can see that the second one down shows the extrude on both sides of a centre line or datum plane. Left click it and note the model changes. We can now give the extrude a depth, again of 50, click into the dashboard, type in 50 and enter. The cube should resize. We can preview with the glasses, click onto the glasses themselves, and then left click onto the green tick to accept the extrude. Click away in space to deselect the part and refit it to the screen. Congratulations, you've now completed the second part in Pro Engineer Wildfire 5 Schools Edition. Save the part. Click onto the save icon. Note we're taken back to the working directory. It's already named, so just say OK. You can now close this part and continue on with the next tutorial.